So in the goal, we had this grandiose plan of performing a completely virtual marching band show. So if you have ever seen a marching band show, it's usually on a football field. It's very intricate. There's, marching and dancing and body work and solos and all that great stuff. And it's very hard to do that virtually, of course, because we're all segregated in our own little spaces and our own bubbles online. Counting steps. Yes, we have some bandos in the chat. Bandos in the chat. So thankfully at the school I teach at, we were fortunate enough to have a dedicated class period for band, which meant that we didn't have to spend any time outside of the regular school schedule. So that made it very easy logistically to do all this stuff. So in these rehearsals, we kind of use it as a chance to reinforce their learning. In the spring, we did a lot of theoretical learning, and I could tell that really drained the souls of my students because it's the same as learning math for 3 months straight, right? If some of y'all enjoy math, that's power to you, not me. I don't. So I could imagine it was just as bad for my students as it would have been for me if I had to learn just math and not been able to do anything else for 3 months. So in the fall, right, we use these rehearsals as chances to reinforce their learning. And this goal of, here we go. This goal of performing this grand show together, right? 50 plus students doing it together over Zoom, that's very difficult. But having these goals created an objective for my students, and it was able to help unify us as a group, even though we had incoming freshmen in the group, so they had no idea what band even was, or even being virtual, and they're just being thrown into this. But they knew one thing, at the very least, was that we're trying to perform the show together. So having these goals helped us unify the community and kind of set us out to not have tunnel vision, but all aim towards having the same objective in the end, right? And this gave them something to look forward to because, speaking for myself, being on Zoom is pretty demoralizing sometimes. It can really drain you. But having something like this where it's not just specific to Zoom, but it's still something you do involving something you love and things other people love as well. This really helps to motivate people and really create things to latch on to and look forward to. This also creates some accountability, right? Because in a community, depending on what you're doing, there are certain responsibilities that have to be carried out. And having something like this, setting a goal, is really good because it creates accountability and ensures that, in my specific case, my students are still working on these goals even outside of rehearsal. Because we only rehearsed 1 hour every day, that's not enough time to really get all the details settled in. And what I did was delegate tasks to student leaders, right? And this is something we can do not in just the marching band community, but also in like the real life, or when we're working with a community or for a leader in the community, is being able to not just delegate tasks, but to explain and expound upon those tasks, just so everyone understands like what we're working towards. And having this sense of accountability and pressure kind of promotes social emotional learning, and it gives them chances to learn how to set goals and empathize with others and maintain these positive relationships, right? Because like I mentioned in the beginning, one of the main problems of virtual communication is lack of empathy. And it is really hard to do if we don't have a goal that helps unify groups like that. So having this large overarching goal is really, really important. That way they can all be working towards the same thing, and having that community, even if they're not there physically, they have the chance to work together and to build those, the rungs of the ladder. So then when they come back in person, they're just building on the base that they've set, that they set in stone over the virtual world, right? And it is hard living virtually, but the more that we can do to kind of get that set up, because eventually we will be back in person in some capacity. So whatever we have to build off of is way better than doing nothing. And I know I've gone through the motions of teaching and being on Zoom, like, oh, this is pointless. Like, why are we doing this? We should just do whatever until we get back to in person. But this is a chance for not only, us as community members, organizers, and leaders to learn, but it's for your community to kind of build on top of those blocks as well. Right. And then with all that said in mind, we talked about finding interest, setting goals, and having that work. The third step is WAP, watch as they perform, right? And this is both figuratively and literally, again, watch as they perform, because it's very amazing to see just a group of, 20 plus students, in my case, students, work together towards this goal and really achieving that goal, because it's very difficult. And you can tell that they are burnt out for being on Zoom. They have to go to Zoom school all day, every day, versus college students. We have a few days off in between classes. But for high school students, they go every day, like 5 hours a day. And that's very tiring and very draining, right? So it's amazing to get to see them kind of put all their teamwork together and work towards this goal and really achieve it at the highest level they can in this crazy, crazy, crazy world. So I kind of want to take a second to show off, because they deserve it. This is what we ended up coming up with for the one part of the marching band program. So what happened was I had every student record their parts individually to like a audio track that lines up with the music. And then I stuck them all in Final Cut Pro and then just put them all together. So I hope you enjoy. I'll play about a minute of it just so we can see, and then I'll kind of move on from there. If the audio doesn't work, can someone please give me a shout? That way I can fix it.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
I did not mean to stop that video. I'm sorry. We're going to have to watch it again.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
Alrighty. So yeah, that was just a little snippet of what we did in the fall. We're doing kind of the same thing in the spring, where we have a virtual showcase that we're submitting to. So that's in the works as well. I'm sure I'll be posting it on social media or something. So if you're friends with me on social media, you can watch all that on there. Oh, y'all are so sweet. I'm gonna cry. I love the support. I really do appreciate it. So I kind of want to talk about other methods of community building beyond setting a large goal and creating community through that, right? So shout out to my study group, the C13 BBC. If we look on the left, it's a Zoom screenshot of, I want to say it was week 3 of fall semester or something. We were like, we're stressed out. There's a lot to do. So again, falling back on what's our common interest? We kind of didn't really know each other at the time. It was a little early on. So what was it? What do we all like to do? We like to eat and drink. So we had a food cooking night, right? I kind of led the troop on I forget what it was, pasta or something. Someone can remind me. Pasta dish. And then Jasmine, who I think is in this call. So shout out to Jasmine. She did a drink tutorial. I think we did like mojitos or something. But again, falling on the concept of what did we have in common? What were our common interests? I'm pretty sure the first few sentences we said in our study group chat was, what kind of food do we like? Or like, where do you like to eat or something? So falling back on things that, we can all get into that can really help build that platform for community building and just building off of that. Even if you don't know folks that well, just like this is a great example, right? We didn't know each other too well, but we all know that we loved food. So we built on that. And then from there, we just kept going. We haven't had one of these in a while, but I think it would be a great idea to do, especially if you're working in an office that's working from home, or if you have a team or something you're working with and you just want to, do something not work related, something that can kind of bring the community together. Food cooking night, I would highly recommend, right? Because it's a little difficult to do over Zoom, but just have one camera set up and then just cook from your kitchen. Cool. And then the next one I want to talk about is movies. So I'm not sure if she's in here, but one of my very good friends, her name is Tia. She actually is a community organizer as well, but she has a Discord server and for those of you who don't know what Discord is, it's almost like I want to say Slack or GroupMe. It's kind of like a group messaging platform, originally built for like gamers, but now it's very widely used in a lot of communities. But on Discord, she hosts every week on very specific times and days of the week. She hosts movie nights, right? And that was one of the things that she figured would help kind of bring people together, even if we didn't know each other, right? Because this Discord server is full of people who I didn't know at first and who she didn't really know either. But again, falling back on what's the common interest, right? And what goals do we have? So beyond video games, the common interest is, right, movies and mixed media. So she kind of used that to build out that plan of having a movie night. So every week there's rotational themes. So she'll ask people to submit like, oh, let's say it's an action week. So of course people are going to submit things like Marvel and Ip Man and things like that. And that's such an easy way to get folks to kind of work together still towards a common goal, because even if you don't know this person or that person, we're all trying to find a roster of, let's say, action films. Everyone's working together to build that roster. And then everyone gets together certain points of the night, certain points or certain days of the week, and we just watch movies together, right? And it's a very open platform, right? Folks have their cameras on, mics unmuted, and they just make commentary the whole time. And things like this can also help, again, to build a community, because we're finding that common interest and just building on that common ground that folks have with one another. Even if you don't know each other that well, that's totally okay, because everyone has interests. I would hope so. Everyone has interests. And if you can find the common link that ties people together, that's a great way to start building that community and kind of building those blocks for when you do return in person, you can pick it up as if you were old friends who, never left each other. So it is a weird point in time of this global panini. It's, what is it now? March 18th. So officially a year plus after they declared COVID to be a global pandemic, right? And as we can see in the global and national COVID numbers, it is getting much better, thankfully, due to the availability of vaccines and all that good stuff. So now what, right? Now what happens when we have to transition back to in-person and we leave the virtual world? Excuse me. Take it slow. This one I cannot emphasize enough, right? We are all kind of used to doing things virtually. We're used to Zoom etiquette where we're unmuted. We don't speak over one another. No one chats while people are presenting or whatnot. But this is something that I tell everyone in every presentation I do is I don't mind chatting in the chat, or if folks just want to unmute and ask something or say something, I'm totally down for it. Right? Those types of things are more reminiscent of